Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bow Hunt or Die. Beautiful day here, finally getting 50-degree weather, and we are going to be diving into part 5 of the mini series that I've been working on with my new farm. We're standing here right now and I'm going to take you through one of the most recent projects that I've been working on. But before I dive into that, if you haven't had a chance to check out some of the other videos in the series, you need to do so. One of the first videos we talked about were kill plots and how to create little small areas in your property to kill some big deer. From there, we went into a big clear-cut project I worked on again to create a lot of bedding and more food and habitat for deer, followed by a huge equip string bank program. And then the last video we put up was a hardwood planting where I share some tips on how you can get trees to grow and actually take root before they just get devoured by deer. So let's dive into this video right now. This is part 5, where I'm really focusing on how do I create a bedding area that I can get in close to on the right winds and kill big bucks. Well, first off, I want to talk about why I wanted to do a shrub planting. If you've been in any properties before where there's been big shrub thickets, you can almost count on the fact that you're going to bump deer out of those thick, nasty areas. Now, right now behind me, of course, this is year 1. Unfortunately, we've had a drought this year, so most of my shrubs, for the most part, are pretty small. This area here, though, with where I put the shrubs and why I wanted to do this is critical, because what I'm ultimately wanting to do is allow these deer in 3, 4, 5 years from now, when these shrubs are thick and nasty and 5 and 6 and 8 foot tall, to be able to have a great bedding area that's going to be super close to food. But before I get into those other areas, I want to tell you some additional reasons why I wanted a shrub thicket and some of the things I'm doing to protect it, to be able to guarantee that these shrubs are going to be here in years to come. First off, you can see the electric fence behind me. That is critical, because I'm telling you, a shrub planting is like putting in a killer food plot. Deer love eating shrubs. I promise you, if you don't protect them and you have a decent deer density, they will destroy them. Now, in this particular planting behind me, you can see that I've done a lot of work to be able to maintain the rows where the actual trees are planted. This way it's easy for me to get in there, keep an eye on them, and maintain them to make sure that they're not being taken over by, it could be all different kinds of things that take these shrubs out of me. It could be vines. If you watch the last video, you see some of the things that we've done to be able to protect the actual individual trees. But here, it's all about this electric fence and maintaining it to keep the deer out of here, because literally shrubs are like candy. Now, this particular planting behind me is about 6 to 7 different species of shrubs. They all get different sizes. They all grow out a little bit differently. And again, the goal is to have this be so thick and nasty that those deer just get in there. They're able to bed down. They're able to get up, stretch, be able to eat on the shrubs. But more importantly, it's close to 2 key spots that I'm building in the future to be able to ambush these bucks as they travel through these different corridors and be looking for does. Well, let's spend some time focusing on location, because before I decided just to say, hey, I want to do a shrub planting and I want to put it somewhere, I really wanted to think about how the deer were going to utilize it and how I was going to hunt it. We're going to get into how I want to hunt it after this part here, but location is critical, because you don't want to put a good bedding area in a spot where you're going to be regularly spooking deer out of. So that was a big consideration for me in choosing this spot here, because it's an area that I'm very seldomly going to be going by once my farm is completely built up. Number 2, the other big factor was when I first bought this piece of property, it really became apparent that the deer were fine with moving through the big chunk of woods that you see behind me and the big chunk of woods behind Paul. But they really do not want, once this agricultural fields are out of here, they do not want to come across this open field. And as we all know, a lot of times these fields are being picked early. So these deer just don't want to cross this. So for me, realizing if I could get this shrub thicket really going and get it nice and thick, it's going to make it really easy for these deer to basically come from that big chunk of woods behind Paul right through here to the big chunk of woods behind me. Now, it's going to take a couple of years until these shrubs really get up and big, but the other cool thing about location and shrubs is when they do get big and they are standing sturdy, they last year long. Even though the leaves fall off, they're still just get nasty and branchy. You know, we can all make these different changes to our property, but if we can't utilize the things that we do to be able to truly enhance and harvest the deer we want to have, then we might just be wasting our time and money. So in this particular case, I have had my eyes on this spot since I bought the property. Literally, Paul is standing on a trail that goes right up the bank here. I mean, it is cut into that bank and has been being used for years, and it is within 20 yards of that big shrub planting that's going to be growing up over time. Those deer are going to be able to come across that big ridge, come right through those shrubs trekking for does, or if they're already bedded in there, they're going to be able to get up, come right down this trail that they've been using for years, and then come right across here to this big destination food plot that I have. And it's literally within 50 to 80 yards to where these deer are going to be bedding, and on the right winds, I'm going to be able to come right in, get in my stand, either right behind me here is where one of my locations is, or right here off to my right, there's a tree in which I'm going to be able to saddle hunt out of, which is perfect, where I'll literally be able to shoot them right here in the creek when they get out of their bed and they're going to that destination food source. So this was spot number one that I had in mind. Now, let me go over and show you the second spot, which is going to be even killer during the rut. This is that other spot on the property that I'm just so excited about hunting this fall. I knew about this massive trail and where it leads since the day that I bought the property, and I just knew for a fact that the moment I enhanced this property, this bedding area, it was just going to get better. There's not a time that I come to this property now where this trail just doesn't keep getting used more and more and more. The key with this particular spot is that I'm going to be able to get around the bedding area, get into my stand on the right wind, and be able to catch these deer going back and forth from these two ridges now, leveraging the shrubs on the left-hand side and the creek on the right-hand side. They're going to be able to funnel right into this spot here and right into my other spot. The key is I've got two legitimate spots on different winds where I can leverage this big bedding area to be able to kill big bucks.